Hello, beautiful, sensitive souls. Welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's too big, too fast, too busy, too loud, just too much, to being in a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen, and I'm so glad you're here as always. It's my vision that every single highly sensing woman out there will stop hiding and feeling wrong, playing small, stop trying to be less sensitive, and come to honor her amazing, unique skills and talents, to embrace her sensitive nature so she can be a gentle yet strong force in the world. This month, I'd like to focus on the very common HSP experience of overwhelm and overstimulation. As we head into the very beginning of the coming holiday season, this seems like a good time to focus on this and develop and practice some tools for helping ourselves prepare and cope, and maybe avoid some of that overwhelm that's so common for the season. Because we are sponges taking in so much input throughout the day, every day, it's so much easier for us to run out of bandwidth and feel like we just can't take anymore and we just want to hide. If we get overwhelmed from too much sensory stimulation, among other things, we're more likely to back out of activities, even when we're looking forward to them, to take longer than usual, even to make decisions, to become grumpy and resentful, and then get much less joy out of life. Overwhelm happens with everyone at some point, but highly sensitives are just that much more prone to experiencing it because of our sensitive nervous systems and the meaning that we give to everything. Add to that the fact that many, if not most, HSPs don't afford themselves the kind of care that our systems really require. If we're just busy taking care of others, performing, doing, and worrying that it will look bad or weak to take time out or to set those boundaries, and therefore we ignore our needs, then we're in for a crash. So how do we avoid overstimulation and overwhelm and avoid those crashes? So one thing that many therapists are recommending for managing emotions, especially in the recovery arena, is the acronym HALT, H-A.L.T. And I think it's particularly pertinent for highly sensitives experiencing overwhelm. HALT refers to the focus on hunger, anger, loneliness, and tiredness. And as I mentioned before, it's always a good ongoing practice to check in with ourselves throughout the day and ask, how am I doing? What do I need? And when we're overwhelmed or upset or anxious, it's a really good time to do this specifically, this self-check-in. And we can ask specifically if one of these experiences is showing up in this acronym. And the first would be hunger. And it's perhaps even more likely that HSPs will become hangry. So you've probably heard that term, you've maybe used it, you've probably experienced this many times, where you get so hungry, even if you don't realize that's what's going on, that you can't deal with things and you become frustrated and then, yes, even angry. This generally is due to a low blood sugar issue. And because we HSPs are so aware of our bodies and respond to things so much in our bodies, and we are connected with the body's responses, this can be pretty extreme. And this has always been one of my responses to hunger. I never go anywhere without my water bottle. I hate feeling thirsty and not having an option, and a snack bar. And it's a non-issue for me. I don't have to even think about it. That's before I head out the door, I make sure I have those things because I know what I'm like if I get overly hungry. And I do best when I maintain my blood sugar level by having a snack in between meals if needed, if it's going to be up to 5 hours or more between meals, or if I'm going to be exerting myself more and I'm going to use up more energy, I'll likely need another snack. So I make sure that I always have that so that I don't get hangry and I don't get irritable with other people. And being too hungry can also lead to a lack of focus, energy depletion, lack of motivation. And if we're frustrated by this, we can start to feel overwhelmed. So it's not selfish to make sure we eat often enough, and it's necessary for our brain function and emotional regulation. There are also other things that we can hunger for: connection, attention, companionship. These are things we HSPs tend to seek anyway. And if we get depleted nutritionally, these can be even more pressing. So checking in to see how we're doing and with the connection and how we can address that will help with the overwhelm, especially if we're feeling unsupported. The second focus in the acronym is anger. While being too hungry can result in feeling angry, that's certainly not the only cause or time we find ourselves feeling that way. Because highly sensing people feel so deeply, our anger can itself become overwhelming. It can feel totally unmanageable. And if we don't allow ourselves to be angry at others or situations due to guilt or personal expectations, that anger turns toward ourselves. That is never healthy. Giving ourselves the opportunity to acknowledge and allow ourselves to feel angry allows us to then be able to take steps toward letting it go. We breathe into the feeling, identify where it is in our body, and just be aware. And then with each exhale, we can give it permission to release. We can opt to go for a walk or do something physical that releases the anger in a healthy way, like stomping or screaming into a pillow, hitting a heavy bag or the bed, obviously with no people around. It's also good to know where the anger came from, so its origin can be addressed in some way and it's not repeatedly showing up. The next experience in HALT is loneliness. Now, everyone has experienced loneliness at some point because highly sensing people, because highly sensing people crave deep connection, yet can often feel misunderstood or unsupported, the sense of disconnect can lead to feeling really lonely. We also have a tendency, especially those of us who are introverts, to isolate and avoid social engagements. It's just comfortable being with us. And we can feel isolated because of others' reactions or not being with those who get us. And it's so important to find other HSPs that we can engage with so we have that sense of support and camaraderie. But even if it's comfortable to stay home or do things on our own, it's important for us to step out and engage with others, join some activities with the right preparation and having enough energy so that we can experience that connection that we really need and that we crave. So the final focus in our acronym of HALT is tiredness. Now, everyone needs good sleep. HSPs really need good sleep. Our bodies use up more energy during the day, processing everything all the time. We need our downtime and we need our good sleep. I know that everything works so much better for me when I've had really good sleep. If I've not been sleeping well for a night or two, and then I do get a really good night's sleep, it's amazing how much better the next day is in every way. It's so apparent what a difference that makes. So when we can get that good quality sleep, it helps us across the board with everything in our lives. Not getting enough sleep can leave us grumpy, unfocused, low on energy, and more prone to illness. Our immune systems actually need rest to process and detoxify our bodies. We will also likely feel tired if we overdo, which, of course, that's a big HSP thing, right? It's a chronic experience for us. If we pack too much into each day, we don't have enough break times, we don't have a consistent self-care that allows us to be calm and that gives us energy, we will be depleted. It's hard to manage anything in life if we are depleted, no matter how good our intentions. So if we're feeling overwhelmed, we can step back and take a look at how we're doing, what's going on, what we need. And one way we can do that is using this HALT acronym, H-A-L-T, and specifically ask ourselves if we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And there might be something else going on, but this seems to cover a lot of the potentials, if not most, in some way or another. Maybe we have an intense feeling we're dealing with other than anger that we can pay attention to. But if we ask ourselves if we're angry, that might not resonate, but we might become aware of a deep sadness that needs to be addressed or some other feeling. Or perhaps we're fearing an impending event or project. So once we're aware of a feeling, we can give it attention and permission, and then choose a way to release it. This will help us also let go of guilt for how we're feeling or for things not going well and not knowing why. Often when we identify feelings, it becomes obvious why things aren't working, or why someone is getting on our nerves, or why we're feeling overwhelmed if not much is really happening at the moment. And it's always good to check in on our sleeping and our tiredness level and see if we need any adjustment there. Taking a few 10-minute breaks throughout the day could be enough to keep from getting depleted if we are getting good sleep. But finding multiple ways throughout the day to make sure that we give ourselves that rejuvenation, that downtime to then add to our energy reserves so that we have more bandwidth to manage everything. So if we're feeling overwhelmed, it's good to check in using H.A.L.T or any other way you choose and see what's going on. And it's not going to just go away once we recognize it. We need to take care of ourselves and give our bodies and our energy systems what they need. We need to honor our sensitive systems and give them the best fuel and tools possible. We're just wired that way, and we have to do that. So let's go ahead and practice a technique for connecting with our needs. So wherever you are, if you can get comfortable and relaxed, and hopefully not in a place where you're distracted, go ahead and close down your eyes if you are okay with that, or just kind of stare off to where you're a little not as focused. And then just before we start, think of something. Maybe you already have something going on right now that is overwhelming to you, or you're already feeling in a state of overwhelm. And if not, then think of something that's impending, something that if you think about it routinely, it tends to increase your stress level, makes you feel anxious or overwhelmed. Just bring to mind something like that right now. Really connect with that. What's it like to feel that overwhelm, that anxiety, that worry about something? And then now just take a moment to pay attention to where you feel that in your body. Is it throughout your entire body, just an overall sense of tension? Is it in your jaw, your chest, maybe the pit of your stomach? Maybe you feel kind of antsy. Maybe you have some numbness even. Wherever it is, pay attention to what that is and what that experience is like. Is it dense? Is it prickly, heavy, tight? What is that sensation? And you can even give it a name, if you will, in terms of its texture or what it looks like, what the sense is. If you were to see it visually, you can name that as, a brown gooey blob that's heavy in your gut. However that experience is resonating with you, just be aware of what that is. And now just give it some space, allow it to be there. As soon as we become aware of what our sensations are, we have a tendency to want to get rid of that right away because it's seemingly not okay. But we want to give credence to whatever feeling we're having, allow it to be there, honor it. It's there for a reason. It's telling us something. So just paying attention to what that is like, giving it that permission, telling yourself it's okay that I'm having this feeling, this overwhelm, this stress. Maybe even you're aware of anger. And now as you allow that to be there, take some nice, deep, centering breaths. You can feel yourself connected with the earth, grounded to the planet. Paying attention to that breathing, allowing it to be slow and getting deeper and deeper. And being aware of whatever that sensation is you've been experiencing, whatever that feeling, whatever it looks like, what that sensation is, wherever in your body. As you continue to allow this breathing to take place, this deep, deep breathing, allowing that air with oxygen, love, and light coming into your space, into your heart center. Now, as you exhale each time, give permission and allow that feeling, both the emotion itself and the experience you're having in your body, to release. Give it a channel to just let go, release from your body. You can let that release out into the ether. You can send it down a route into the core of the earth. However you choose to release that, maybe it even just goes out your fingers and toes. Each breath brings in cleansing, loving light and energy and air. And then each exhale allows more and more of that sensation, that unwanted feeling and experience to release. Love and energy and light coming in with that breath into your heart center, radiating through your body. And on that exhale, releasing that feeling and the related experience, that visceral response in your body. Bringing that light and energy with the air in with each inhale, and exhaling, releasing that feeling, that experience from your body. One more time, take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, releasing that feeling, sending it on its way, sending it to the earth or the ether. And now, as your breathing continues to be slow and deep, with each inhale, imagine a vibrant, beautiful light coming into your heart center with that air, whatever color feels energizing and yet calming, that helps you to feel good. Whatever that light is, that beautiful color, see that coming in with each inhale now. Just allowing that energy, that light to radiate throughout your body, filling that area that before was dense, tight, prickly, whatever it was for you. Feeling it now filled up with this beautiful, energizing, loving light through your whole body, and especially that area where that overwhelm or that other feeling was residing. Keeping that breath slow and deep, just allow in with every breath more and more of that radiant light that leaves you feeling just wonderful, calm yet energized, allowing it to just radiate through your whole body. And take another nice deep inhalation, bringing in more and more of that beautiful light. And as you exhale, just be aware of feeling grateful for this shift. And paying attention to that breath, but now also paying attention to the seat that you're on, the room that you're in. Being aware of your surroundings, coming back to the present here. And hopefully you enjoyed that technique. That's something you can do on your own anytime, of course. And you can switch out whatever the feeling is that you're experiencing. If you're not feeling overwhelmed, but you're feeling very sad, if you're feeling very frustrated or angry, maybe not necessarily overwhelmed, maybe you are just feeling incredibly stressed. You can use this to just first be aware of, identify in your body where that feeling is, and then honor, allow it to be there, give it permission, feel into it, and then allow it to release. Because our feelings are here for a reason. They're very intense, and the way we experience them as HSPs can be really, really intense. So just allowing that to happen, to honor, to be there, and then release is very powerful. All right, so as always, it's really great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to connecting with you again next week. And as always, I would love the opportunity to chat with you directly. You can go to Linktree and look for just my name. You'll have every way of connecting with me and all of the resources that are available, including links to my app that is just for highly sensitives. So I wish you the best, most stress-free response, at least, week that you could possibly have. And I will see you again next week.